What if Ahsoka raised Luke and Leia? Part 2. Do you not recognize me, Ahsoka Tano? Ahsoka's gaze shot towards the Inquisitor, straining to see the part of the face that wasn't covered. Still, she couldn't see the face underneath, and she didn't recognize the voice. So she stayed silent, not answering, waiting for them to make a move. They remained still for a second, before they raised their arms. Ahsoka braced herself, but instead of grabbing the lightsaber at their waist, they grabbed their helmet and removed it. Then the mask. Ahsoka stifled a gasp. The last time she had seen his face was when he was young, but now half his face was horribly scarred from what appeared to be burns, and she didn't want to believe that this was the same person. She only let herself whisper the name. Petro? A tight smile spread across his lips before a curt nod. He replaced the mask but got the helmet off. He opened his mouth, but the captain appeared and reported that there was nothing of note in the home, and it was clear. Petro nodded and put his helmet on. Before they left, Petro commented that perhaps they could catch up if she wanted. Ahsoka simply nodded and the squad descended back down into town. Ahsoka quietly watched the black uniform of Petro until he disappeared from sight. She made sure the twins were alright before going inside and rearranging what the soldiers had moved and searched through. She was torn. She wanted to know Petro's story and if he knew the fate of the other younglings that were in his group. But she also didn't want to stay with there being at least one person who knew who she was and could report her any time. She didn't know if Petro would do that. The Petro she knew wouldn't, but he was an Inquisitor now. She doesn't know him now. She decided to give him the benefit of the doubt though and wait for him to make the first move. She wanted to believe that he hadn't completely fallen, and if he had, then he could be redeemed. It gave her hope for Anakin. Ahsoka didn't have to wait long though. The second night after the army troops and Petro visited, Petro reappeared. It was nearly midnight and Ahsoka and the twins were asleep in the same bed per usual. They had slept together since the twins were young, as Ahsoka didn't want to leave their side. It was also because the house was chilly and this one were tiny, only one bedroom and really only room for a single bed. Now, a soft knock and a push on the force made her wake up. She was instantly fully alert because of her experience fighting the war, and she immediately sensed it was Petro. She quickly and carefully got out of the bed, which was hard as twins slept on either side of her, but she managed to make it out without waking them. She held her lightsaber in her hand as she opened the door. She knew Petro was alone, but she was still wary. He wore a dark cloak over his black uniform, with his unique-looking lightsaber hanging at his hip. He was holding his helmet to his side, leaving only the mask on his head. He apologized for the late visit and asked if she wanted to talk. She hesitantly accepted and she left the house, closing the door behind her, not wanting to wake Luke and Leia. They go to some boulders that were near the house, something that Ahsoka initially thought of as cover. Now they sat on them and chatted. Petro said that he had been in the temple when it was attacked. Most of Padme's younglings were taken alive unless they put up too much of a fight. He wasn't sure what would have happened to them, but their fate changed as clones started resisting the Empire and the Empire started losing. They began training them all on the dark side, making them Inquisitors. The Inquisitors were turned into soldiers to fight, a large group of poorly trained Force sensitives that would hopefully turn the tide against the clones. They made an initial impact, but because they were poorly trained, they were easily killed or they just surrendered as soon as they could. Ahsoka asked about several young Jedi that she had known, but only knew about a few of them. Ahsoka then asked why he hadn't turned her in. He said that firstly she wasn't a Jedi and she was living peacefully, and second, he not only respected her but also needed her help. She asked him if he wanted to get away from the Empire and he admitted that he did, but first he wanted to help Katuni. They became closer after the ordeal during the gathering and stuck by and stood up for each other in the temple after Order 66. He told her that she had tried to resist becoming Inquisitor and was thus locked up. He wasn't sure what they were doing to her, but he couldn't live with himself if he just left her as he knew how cool the Empire was. As he was saying this, his hand drifted through the scar on his face, gently touching the mask covering it. She wanted to ask about it but held back. Instead she asked if he knew where they were holding Katuni. He did. They held all 4 sensitive prisoners in the Citadel. Ahsoka stilled, memories flooding to her. She knew why he hadn't done anything. He couldn't. Several clones and a Jedi Master had died the last time he was infiltrated. She stayed silent for a moment, contemplating, but eventually spoke, saying that she would think about it, but didn't like the idea of leaving the twins. He told her he understood, and they continued talking about lighter topics for the next couple of hours. After a while, he told her that he would have to get back or he would be missed. They said their goodbyes and he departed back into town. She had a hard time falling back asleep, thinking both about Katuni and her problems with Padme. She was trying to keep her problems with Padme by trying to keep the twins safe and raise them well, but it was hard, especially on the run. On the other hand, she wanted to help Katuni and the other Force sensitives in the Citadel. She didn't know if she could live herself if she did nothing. She already regretted a great deal, and she didn't want to regret more. Ahsoka thought about it for the next couple of days and whether she could trust what Petro was saying or if he was lying. He was an Inquisitor after all. He had submitted to the Empire, unlike Katuni if this story is true. And if it wasn't, then she would be walking herself into her own prison and abandoning Luke and Leia. However, she felt through the force that Petro wasn't lying, so she decided to do some research to see if others knew what he was claiming. To do this, she had to get off this planet. She told the townspeople that she was going to get some droid parts on one of the more frequented planets in the sector, which she often did. And they nor the Imperials questioned it. Ahsoka took Luke and Leia with her, as she always did. They were forever craving for an adventure. Once she was on that planet, she dug through the hallway in search of anything regarding Force sensitives in the Citadel. There were few things. The Empire was censoring those topics. But she did learn that the Empire had abandoned Alderaan, unlike almost every other planet they had held in the Outer Rim. Coming up empty, she prepared to head back home. Luke and Leia had tired themselves out. She had bought several parts or droids which were much needed. However, while floating in space, taking the opportunity as the twins are falling asleep, she contacts Rex. She was planning on leaving him a message, but he quickly picks up. She greets him and apologizes for the sudden call, but he reassures her that it was alright, and good to hear from her. He had been worried and asked if she was alright. Ahsoka tells him she is before she asks about him. He told her that he was doing well. He asked what was bothering her and if it was the reason she had contacted him. She admits that it is and tells him about what Petro had said. Rex listens and stays silent for a moment after he finishes before he tells her that there were several Inquisitors that they had fought who had defected from the Empire and joined their cause. They all claimed that if they hadn't fought, then they would be sent to the Citadel, where a terrible fate was in store. Rex had confirmed that there were prisoners in the Citadel, and he knew at least some of them were Force sensitive. He had a few former Jedi Padawans that wanted to break in and get them out. But Rex's intelligence had reported several high-ranking Inquisitors there, and he knew that those former Jedi Padawans weren't capable of defeating them. Ahsoka took a moment to think about it, but she had already come to a conclusion. She informed Rex that if he still wanted to break into the Citadel, she would accompany them. Rex asked if she was sure, asking about Luke and Leia, but she insisted, saying that they are Force sensitives and learning to control their powers. They would be showing their presence in the Force. They were already on the run from the Empire from the last time she couldn't hide them. She didn't want them to grow up on the run. If she could both hit the Empire and reduce the number of Inquisitors, the ones that sense when someone uses the Force, then she and the twins would be in a better, safer state. Rex understood and he said he would start organizing a squad to infiltrate the Citadel. Ahsoka told him that she would meet him after he dropped Luke and Leia off with the Organas. They ended their communication with Ahsoka telling him that she would contact him when she was ready to meet. She flew back home and pretended like everything was normal. In case she couldn't trust Petro, she didn't reach out to him and kept silent. She quickly packed everything and told Luke and Leia that they were going to visit Bell and Breha, people who she had told them stories about as they were growing up. They were worried as she was packing everything, but she told them that after this they would come back or possibly back to Chile, that this was just a very special vacation. This got them excited, but she didn't warn them that she would have to be gone for a few days in order for this to happen. And though it did dampen their spirits, they were still eager. As soon as they took off from the planet, she traveled a fair distance away before jumping to hyperspace. This so she could safely send a message to the Organas and let them know that the ship was coming. She then jumped to several other planets and systems before finally arriving over Alderaan. When they landed in the palace, Bell and Breha came out to warmly greet her, and were energetic to see how big the twins had gotten. Luke and Leia were shy at first, but seeing Ahsoka with them and with her encouragement, they greeted them. It didn't take long before they acted like they had always known each other. Ahsoka waited till that night, letting the twins fall asleep to tell Bell and Breha what she was going to do and hoped to achieve from it. They were worried but fully trusted and supported her, telling her that they would gladly watch over Luke and Leia while she was away. She stayed with the twins for another 2 days, making sure they were comfortable and safe before she departed to meet Rex. They sent her coordinates and met a few systems away from the Alderaan. It was an uninhabited moon on which she hid her ship. Rex arrived a few moments later, landing in a stolen Imperial shuttle. She knew instantly that not only was there a Force sensitive with him, but all the men he had brought were clones. When he walked down the ramp and removed his helmet, it looked like he barely aged, though the lines on her face were deeper. Her shock and confusion must have been on her face as he told her that with funding from Alderaan, they had been able to find a scientist to stop the clones' accelerated aging early on. She congratulated him before he showed her inside. There she met Caleb Doom, who was both shocked and happy to see her, and she as well. Rex told her the plan, showing that this time they didn't have to freeze themselves in carbonite. They would act as stormtroopers, the Empire's elite soldiers, escorting Force-sensitive prisoners. They would land on the Imperial landing bay and walk into the facility. At a set time, a resistance fleet would appear out of hyperspace and engage the Empire's fleet in orbit, destroying it and jamming communications. You just have to secure the facility, free the prisoners, and leave. He knew that it likely wouldn't turn out like that, but he hoped that it would. With Ahsoka briefed, they set off. They quickly arrived over the planet, transmitting the clearance code secured by Rex, and then smoothly landed. Ahsoka and Caleb put on fake force suppression collars and let the troopers lead them from the ship. There was a fuss with the commander in charge of the Citadel, as they were unplanned, but seeing two Jedi made him want to secure them first, then figure out who had messed up. However, as soon as the alarm sound let them know that the space battle had commenced, they dropped the act. Ahsoka nagged both her lightsabers and started cutting through any troop that didn't surrender. She knew the Leia and where the prisoners would be, as she had been here before, and she also knew some of the traps. It was easier than before, and they didn't lose a single trooper on their way. However, 3 Inquisitors appeared, guarding the hallway leading to the prisoners. Ahsoka told Caleb to stay back as she stepped forward. She could feel they were strong, that perhaps they had been Jedi Knights before this, but she was confident. Though her lightsaber skills had grown lax as she had known to duel in the past 7 years, she had gone through all the lightsaber forms that she knew and was teaching them Luke and Leia, so she was well versed and fresh in them. But more importantly, she was more in tune with the Force and had a better grasp of it. She had been nearly constantly immersed in it, both in training Luke and Leia and using it to hide them. Now, with her mind at ease, she would fight using everything she had forced herself to remember for the twins. It wasn't a fair fight. None of the Inquisitors were too skilled, so perhaps they hadn't been Jedi Knights, but they had fully immersed themselves in the dark side, making them dangerous. However, the lightsaber skills were poor. They didn't even use a solid form of combat, and Ahsoka's force abilities outmatched theirs. As they fell, Ahsoka thought that this was too easy, but looking up at the sound of more lightsabers igniting made her realize that they weren't intended to be strong. There were many of them, and were intended to defeat their opponent through their sheer numbers. So they also didn't know how to handle someone as skilled as Ahsoka, as soon all the Inquisitors were dead. She turned around to inform the squad that it was clear and caught Caleb staring in awe, with Rex commenting that she had improved. They quickly get moving again and arrive at the cells, meeting minimal resistance after the Inquisitors. After opening several, she was both relieved and saddened to indeed find Katuni in one. All the free prisoners so far were force sensitives, ranging in age and all bore signs of having been experimented on or just plain torture. She couldn't tell which. Katuni was no different and had several wounds. However, upon seeing Ahsoka, Katuni jumps from her bed and rushes to her, grasping her in a fierce hug, and Ahsoka can feel tears soak her shirt. Katuni whispers to herself, asking if this is real. Ahsoka hugs her back and reassures her that she is safe now and will soon be off this planet. After a moment of Ahsoka holding Katuni in her arms, Katuni calms down and releases Ahsoka from the hug, wiping tears from her eyes as she thanks her for coming. They quickly rejoin the others, who had by now finished releasing all the prisoners, no more of which Ahsoka recognizes. They led everyone down to the landing platform where several more shuttles had arrived. On the way, Ahsoka stopped to where she had fought the Inquisitors and retrieved the kyber crystals from their blades. She wasn't sure why, but she felt they shouldn't leave them there. Rex also brought several Imperials that had surrendered, even an Inquisitor who was still alive, albeit severely wounded. There were more people than Ahsoka had thought, and she wondered if they could all get out immediately, even with extra shuttles. But Rex reassures her, saying that after the shuttles offloaded, they'd come back down. When she asks where they were offloading, Rex smirks and tells her that he had liberated several vendors from the Empire, who had been trying to decommission them. Kiro takes the shuttle that had the injured Inquisitor, and Katuni stays by Ahsoka's side and is thus on the last shuttle off the planet with her and Rex. Before she goes, Ahsoka reaches out with the Force, making sure that there is no one left in the Citadel. Once they reach the vendor, Ahsoka requests that they destroy the Citadel via orbital bombardment, so as no one would suffer there again. Rex eagerly complies, he also having hatred for the place. The Citadel crumbles under the fire and is reduced to molten slag. They then leave and jump to hyperspace. They stop by the moon where Ahsoka hid her ship. Then she, Rex, and Katuni board and start for Alderaan. Rex wants to catch up and meet Luke and Leia, while Katuni doesn't want to leave Ahsoka's side. Even though Rex assures her that the Resistance would hide and protect her and the rest of the freed prisoners, still she is treated on board in the medical facility before they leave. The Resistance fleet disappears to a place unknown as Rex tells Ahsoka that someone will come pick him up in a few days. They all catch up as they travel to Alderaan, taking their time to make sure that they cannot be tracked. They arrive at Alderaan in good spirits and land in the palace. Ahsoka is eager to reunite with Luke and to introduce them to Rex and Katuni. However, with her buoyant emotions, she almost misses the dark presence and a warning through the Force that something's wrong. Ahsoka stops in her tracks, making Katuni and Rex stop too. Before they can ask, Ahsoka charges forward. She doesn't have to go far, as in the Grand Hall stood several Inquisitors, stormtroopers, with Bell, Brielle, Luke, and Leia handcuffed sitting on the ground. The foremost Inquisitor smiled as she appeared, and as Katuni entered, she whispers under her breath, naming him to be the Grand Inquisitor. Ahsoka recognizes him, he having once been a Jedi temple guard. He tells her to drop her lightsaber and surrender, or he will start freeing the children that are gone of their limbs. Ahsoka gets furious. She hadn't gone and fought at the Citadel just to lose Luke and Leia or Bella Breha. She wouldn't allow them to be taken away from her so easily. Without warning or hesitation, she let her emotions, both positive and negative, consume her, and she charged forward, lightsabers igniting. The Grand Inquisitor, who still saw her as a Jedi, was unprepared when she charged him, brimming with emotions, and was thrown off balance. She was on him in an instant as a blur she got through both Inquisitor and Stormtrooper alike. She let her rage, anger, and fear fuel her, balls her love and joy. They didn't stand a chance, and though it felt like an eternity for Ahsoka, she had cut through all of them in just over a minute. She didn't waste any time, was kneeling in front of Luke and Leia, covering their bindings and hugging them. They had tears in their eyes, and she regretted making them see what she had just done, but she was glad that they were safe. The Grand Inquisitor spoke behind her, his voice strained. He told her that she may have defeated them, but Lord Vader was on his way. Once he got here, he would show no mercy. She wouldn't be able to defeat him. At least he had a chance of leaving Ahsoka's surrender to the Grand Inquisitor. Rex was on him as he finished talking, but when Ahsoka looked up, he shook his head. He had succumbed to his wounds. Katuni freed Bell and Breha, and they urged Ahsoka to leave. Ahsoka didn't want to leave, not wanting to risk their lives, not wanting to believe that Vader was on his way. But a guard came running in, saying that a ship had just arrived from hyperspace and was trying to contact the Inquisitors. Ahsoka reached out and could feel the dark presence over the planet. Once again, the Organa's urged her to leave, and she numbly obeyed, running back to her ship, holding on to Luke and Leia with the Katuni on her heels. Rex stayed behind to try to help in any way he could, mainly during the resistance. Ahsoka powered the ship and was taking off as the Imperial shuttle landed. The dark presence was so strong, and she knew without a doubt it was Vader. As they left the atmosphere and jumped into hyperspace, Ahsoka could only hope that Rex, the Organas, and all Alderaan would survive Lord Vader.